So, really weird. I'm just doing the live a second ago, so I just deleted this last little upload, but really strange. My audio shuts off and it says it can't connect your audio. What's up, Brandon? What's up, Cash? Sorry, guys. This YouTube live thing on mobile phones is very sketchy for me. I'm going to try to do this more often and just hop on and talk to you guys and answer questions and stuff like that. I figured it's kind of a cool thing to do in between, like saving videos and compressing videos, or sitting outside of restaurants, or waiting for a meeting like this, or just playing on my phone. Might as well go live and answer some fishing questions since I'm like a million emails behind. Maybe I can just answer a bunch of questions on here for you guys. He has 18 watching. Oh my gosh, what was... Okay, I'm back. This is craziness. Favorite reel by Shimano Curado by Landslide. Delta Stripers are coming in. I'm going out for them tomorrow. What's a shoal? A shoal is a hard, shallow, flat area. That's what a shoal is. It's basically a big, hard, shallow flat. Hey, Nick, the informative fisherman. What's up, Cash? What is your favorite lure for fall fishing, Nick? Probably the grass burner or a lipless crankbait like a rattle trap. How do you catch... When are the Sticks rods coming? It's looking like 2 months at best for the rod. Nick, oh my gosh, why is this stuff going so fast? What's up, Nick? Been waiting. Thanks, F&F. Nice hat, bro. Yeah, my buddy Obd hooked me up with some cool apparel. Best budget fish finder. Ooh, that's a good one. I haven't looked for budget fish finder in a long time. I know the Garmin has really inexpensive ones with like downscan. So I'm going to lean towards that, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. What do you think about Okuma reels? I've used some inexpensive ones trout trolling before. They are alright, nothing spectacular. I haven't used their high-end ones yet. Oh, I take that back. I used some on Mark Lassane's boat, the spinning reels, and they're really nice, really good drag. Any tips for increasing hookup ratio when frogging? Absolutely. Now, hold on for your questions for a second, guys, because this might take me a second, and I see a lot of questions rolling in. To increase your hookup ratio with frogging, well, naturally when a frog comes out of the box, the hooks are going to be flat against its back, and I'm sure you guys have all heard to open up the hooks a little bit, to where if you slide your finger across the back of the frog, you're going to bump those hooks with your finger. That will greatly increase the hookup ratio. Another thing you want to do, when the bass blows up, you want to reel fast. You want your line to be straight. If you have any sort of bow or any sort of slack in your line, when you go to set the hook, as you set the hook from your tip, you point at the bass real fast, line straight, and as you go to set the hook, you should feel the pressure of the fish immediately as you go to set the hook. Not set the hook, and then all of a sudden the hook starts to drive up here, turn straight, tight line, and then lean and set that hook. That will greatly, greatly increase your hookup ratio. Don't just set it immediately, reel to a tight line, then set the hook. I have 3 rods and reels since the early 2000 years. I think the good Fisherman D, not brand new luxury. I'm not sure what you're typing, bro. Striper top water time. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna throw a glide bait tomorrow and see. You have so much information. Where do you learn all this, dude? Cash, I've just been like fishing crazy since I was a little kid. I would read every book I could, every magazine, ask every pro I could questions. Like knowing like the answers to fishing things is just as fun for me as actually getting out and catching the fish. So I kind of have that going for me. Not good at a lot of things, but I definitely love my fishing. Lots of weeds and dirty water. What to use? Chatterbait does work well, but a lot of the time you are going to get weeds caught up around a chatterbait. Try a swim jig, a lighter swim jig in the dirty water, but in like a black and blue pattern, and see if you can get bit on that. They also have swim jigs with glass rattles, And that'll come through a lot more weedless than a chatterbait will, and it'll still give you the audio, just not as much vibration. Any recommendation for a beginner salmon striper rod and reel combo? It just depends. Are you trying to, if you're trying to troll with that, or if you're trying to cast with that, is really critical, because a striper rod and a salmon rod, if you're casting for salmon, you're generally throwing like a Flying Sea or a Blue Fox. And that's going to be a little bit different setup than you would casting for stripers. So if I had to pick one rod, I would say a heavy action rod, probably 7'6", with a moderate to moderate fast taper. But that's just to pick one random rod right there. You really should have two rods for the two different things. Favorite top water? Grass burner for sure. Evolution Baits grass burner. What's the difference between bait casting and spinning? So the bait casting reel is your round face reel, and your spinning reel, the spool sits up like this and the line comes off like this. The difference is, on a spinning reel, it is much more efficient at using lighter line, and it's not for pulling as hard, versus a bait caster, you can use much heavier line and the drag systems are much stronger. That's the primary difference. Heavy pressure on a small pond with huge 10-pounders. Whoa. Hard to catch. What can I do to activate more fishing? Small ponds that are highly pressured, nighttime, where a bass has a very difficult time analyzing what he's seeing and is preferring to eat at nighttime. Big bass during the warmer months always eat at nighttime in small ponds. Go out there and throw a wake bait. Get like a topwater rat, some 20, 25-pound P-line CXX, and slow roll that rat at nighttime. Try on a new moon, that's when it's completely blackout, and then try on a full moon, and I guarantee you're going to hook one of those freak bass. Just dedicate a solid 2.5, 3 hours of throwing a big topwater rat. In small ponds, big bass love to eat at night, and they love... Sorry about that. Got another phone call. Had to press the decline button. Nick, have you chased striper boils at Hogan this year? No, I haven't been out. Cool part, Lake Hogan guys over here in Northern California has a lot of striper boils during the summer, which is awesome, because in the spring and the falls when it goes on in the Delta, when that's not going on in the Delta, you can go to New Hogan Lake and chase boils there. Best first bait caster I can get. For a reel, honestly... I know Abu Garcia, the Revo, they have a, oh man, what Revo is that? They have like $100 Revo now. I forget what it's called. I think it's the Revo X. Don't quote me on that, but go to abugarcia.com and look up the Revo X. I played with it in Texas, and it's an awesome reel for $100. It's probably the best one you can get. Great channel. You should consider doing an entire show using only spinning rods. I have, Pastor Mail D. Currington. The Spotted Bass Special, I primarily use spinning rods, so go check that one out. How do you know when you should change spots? My theory is there's only a couple fish species you have to be patient for. Scavengers, catfish, sturgeon, shark. Those are the ones that you need to have your bait in the water for a while, and you can be patient. If you're bass fishing, if you're trout fishing, if you're crappie fishing, pan fishing, cast it out there. If they don't hit it within 10 seconds, you're either using the wrong bait, casting it and retrieving it the wrong way, or there's just not fish there, or there's fish there that are just not hungry, and you may have to use like a vibrating thing, or just try to change locations to find a spot where the fish haven't fed yet. I'm not patient at all. I try tons of things until I figure them out. As far as I'm concerned, there's no better way to figure them out than to try a million different things. Fluke told me to get fishing Origin A. Never used it. Any tips for fishing New Hogan? Right now, near the mouth of the river should be hot. Where's a good launch to catch salmon in the Sacramento River area? Garcia Bend Park, which is off of It's off of I-5. I'm trying to think of the name of the road. Ah, man. Garcia Bend Park. Type that in. It's a really good area, easy to get to, tons of salmon fishing going on out there. Sorry, bro, I can't think of the name of the street. How to find crappie from the shore. Look for the deepest spots you can that come up near shoreline access water, deep vertical banks, or areas that have tall trees next to the shore that are going to cast shade lines to where the crappie could suspend in the shade. And what you want to do is use a float too, so where you can cast out and you can get farther range. Get yourself a rocket bobber. I have an LTB video coming out this week that shows you how to pick apart water fast from the shore using floats. Rocket bobber, you can cast really, really far. Get yourself like a 1/64 ounce jig head, little tiny jig head with a little brown trout magnet. That thing is like crappie candy. I hope you keep doing this. You are a master. I see your vid of you 8 years ago. Your tip's going to help me out a lot. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep doing videos for the rest of my life. Sometimes you got to take a blank off the back of your boat. Am I right? Yeah, luckily, it's never happened to me. I've had buddies on the boat who've been in that situation in the wintertime, and yeah, you do. If it's the summertime, I say jump in the water, man. It's a whole lot less messy. Where are some good smallmouth spots on the California Delta? All along the Sacramento area. If you launch out of Vieras and fish all the way up towards Walnut Grove, fish all that riprap, you'll find tons of smallmouth. What's a good all-around bait to use year-round? Probably the most versatile bait year-round are stick baits like a Senko or a Bass Pro Shop Sticko wacky rigged, or a Texas rig worm on like a 3040 EWG hook. Would you ever collaborate with Fluke Master? I think Gene is coming down in November, and we're going to do our first video together. I want my first bait casting combo for 140 or less. Abu Garcia Pro Max combo, I think, is right about at 140 bucks, and it's probably the best bang for your buck. Yeah, Garcia Bend Park. There you go. Thoughts on Ducket Ghost? Boyd has a lot of good stuff under his name, so I've never used it personally, but if Boyd's behind it, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it, that's for sure. Okay, that's other people talking to each other. Love your material. You've really helped me progress as an angler. Take it easy. Thank you, Andrew Payne. Nina, I want a bait casting combo. Okay, I answered that question. About Richie, how can I get on that event, Lake Comanche, in November? So if missed, more than likely is going to be on November 18th. You got to make sure you go to informativefisherman.com, join my emailing list, and you will get the flyer with all the information about how to go to the Facebook, and then you're going to RSVP to the event. And like the first 20 fans that RSVP to IFMIS will win an opportunity to fish for free off of multiple different pros boats that day. And whatever we catch as a group on the boat, including myself, goes to the total weight of your bag to fish the free tournament that we're doing too. So tons and tons of giveaways. It's going to be crazy fun. Love the channel. Tips from the Midwest, shallow creek smallmouth this time of year. Dude, tubes, if you haven't tried, I have no affiliation with Z-Man, but the little Z-Man tubes and the little Z-Man hula stick, along with like the Biwa Armor Crawl Ned rigging, kill those things, bro. So try that out. What are some good tips when a cold front is coming? When a cold front's coming during warmer months, what it does is it's dropping the barometer. As the standard barometer pressure is 29.992, I believe is the exact barometer pressure. And when you look at a barometer, it's measured by inches instead of, I believe it's like millionths, many millionths or something. I forget the exact scientific term for it. But as the barometer's dropping, what it does is it basically takes all the weight and all the pressure off the fish, and it says, go eat, go eat. And so it encourages fish to go eat. So faster moving baits, when you feel a storm front coming and you can feel it outside, you can feel like it's lower pressure, it's cooling off, that's generally going to activate those fish into running bait down. So fish things fast, top waters, wake baits, buzz baits, lipless crankbaits, all that stuff will work great. Ever going to Washington? It's not on the agenda right now that I know of, but I wouldn't eliminate it. I want to fish everywhere in the country eventually. I live in a place with lots of small ponds, but lots of people fish, so fish know the drill, scared to eat because they've been caught so much. Any recommendations? I had a very similar question to this earlier. Now, you can always finesse fish, and you've probably heard of this, smaller plastic worms, slower moving baits. When I go to an area to bank fish, and there's been a lot of people fishing out there, I have a couple theories in mind. I'm going to fish bigger than them, like I'll throw big swim baits or Alabama rigs, things that people commonly don't do off the bank, or I'll throw a bigger frog. And then I'll do the exact opposite. I'll fish like a Ned rig or like a 3-inch Senko or something super tiny, and I'll make sure I fish it slower than anybody's ever fished it, and I'll make sure I fish it faster than anybody's ever fished it. And if you can, fish at nighttime too with big wake baits. That's also a very effective method for shallow community lakes. What type of line and pound test would you suggest for trout/bass combo pole, or what would you suggest having one pole for each? So if you're going to do that, I'm going to say you're going to get about a 7-foot spinning rod, and you're going to run 8-pound tactical fluorocarbon. It's a fluorocarbon made by P-Line that's limp for a spinning rod, but it's tough, good abrasion resistance. 8-pound is good for both trout and bass. Best technique this month on the Delta. This time of year, it's always going to be punching. There's been an on and off frog bite, but the punch bite's been pretty good. But honestly, I think the drop shot for the last couple months has outfished my punch bite. So don't be afraid to do a heavier duty drop shot with like a 2.0 EWG hook and a 3/16 ounce weight on some heavier line. Use like your crankbait rod. It's called a power shot. It's basically just everything bigger in regards to a drop shot rig. It's not like for lakes. It's for the Delta. Big fish, heavy cover. SJ Mustang. I fish the East Delta between Whiskey Slough and the Port of Stockton. Any advice on striped bass with that lure? And do you suggest a leader line with braid or straight braid? Striped bass are very, very visual. If it's a topwater only, straight braid is okay. If you're going subsurface, you need fluorocarbon. So yes, definitely run a leader. Shad imitating swim baits like flukes are going to work really strong. I would say 6-inch soft swim baits, but the shad tend to be smaller this time of year. I've seen a lot of like 4-inchers. So a smaller white swim bait's probably going to do the trick. Vertical jigging generally starts working before it gets really cool out. So jigging like a 1-ounce laser minnow around that area, because the current's not that strong, can also work really good off the bottom. So try all those techniques out, man. Best color of spinnerbait for smallmouth bass. It just depends on the forage, man. If you have golden shiners, like a lighter gold with some nickel can work really well. If you're primarily, a lot of like crawfish, like a deeper red pattern can work. Yeah, it just depends on the bait fish that the smallmouth are targeting. But smallmouth are also pretty partial to bright colors, so don't be afraid to throw something like white and pure chartreuse. Sometimes smallmouth love clown pattern things, really, really bright colors. So don't be afraid to try that. Sometimes they just want it funky. But most of the time you want to match up the hatch in your lake. Swim jig, white Delta is hot. Yeah, Derek, you know what's funny? I had a good swim jig bite going for a while. Then it shut off on me. It's just been a very strange year on the Delta. Ever gone fishing in Oregon? No, I have not. I have been to Oregon twice and did not have the opportunity to fish either time, but I will. I'm going to come up there for some steelhead, I can promise you that. Can you suggest a charter company for Sac or American River? My buddy, Scott Feist, feistyfish.net or feistyfish on Facebook. Look him up. Scott, I guarantee you, will put you on stripers and salmon and whatever you want to catch. No problem. If you don't go home with limits, I would be dead shocked. I would bet big money that would not happen. What drop shot bait do you like? Oh, man, the robo worm, the I think it's a 7-inch Aaron's Morning Dawn, and then Aaron's Magic. Those are the colors I love. Any guide recommendations in Northern California? Robert, are you talking about for bass? What area are you talking about? I can give you tons of guides, just I need a little bit more detail. Best baits for fall largies. I like moving baits, man. Lipless crankbaits, walking baits, buzz baits like a grass burner. Another thing I like to do when it gets a little bit later in the fall, I like to pull out a square bill again. I'll start off with a shad square bill. Once that water gets into the low 50s, then I'll go back to like a crawdad square bill because there's a low 50s crawdad spawn. That happens as well all across the country that a lot of people aren't aware of. Okay. You ever try nighttime bass fishing? Yes, and I love it. It's probably one of the most effective methods there is. Man, you are a pro. Rapid fire questions and answers. I'll definitely tune in again. Very informative. Thank you, man. Not sure how to pronounce that name, but I appreciate that. Hey, don't be telling Nina to do bad things. Okay, let's see. What swim jig do you like? I'm pretty partial to the CRL, the California Reservoir Lures swim jigs. And I really like the lighter heads, too. I like to be able to slow down my swim jig a lot. Have you ever fished Canada? No, I've never been to Canada. I would love to go there, too, though. Any bank fishing tips for stripers, rod, reel? If you're bait fishing, that's probably the most effective method for stripers. Live golden shiners on 1 or 1/0 light circle hooks, and fish a little lighter line than you would think, and do it on a drop shot setup, and set your hook about 2.5 feet up above your weight. Yalla Fishing. Hey Nick, love your videos. Learned a lot. Question, what is the best approach for bass during this transition between warm summer months and cool fall temperatures? So what you want to keep in mind is that they might be entering the transition areas. I would say they're still mostly in a summer pattern. So what you want to keep in mind is you want to try some fall stuff. You want to try some moving baits. You want to try some reaction baits, walking baits, spook style baits, lipless crankbaits. And if you're catching quality fish, more than likely those bigger fish are transitioning near the shallows following bait or transitioning to creek mouths at that point. But if you're not having any success there, definitely abandon it. There's going to be a lot of fish probably still in the summer pattern, a lot of fish transitioning up, but the best thing to do is try both type of patterns quick, like fall style fishing and summertime fishing, and let those fish give you the answers you're looking for. Adam, any tips for starting out with a bait caster? I'm finding it difficult to get the distance without having a bird's nest. Check out my how to use a bait casting reel video, and then watch my flipping and pitching, how to flip and pitch video too, Adam. And if you're still having trouble, hit me up on the next live. I'm going to do this way more often. Will you be at Bass Fest this weekend? No, I'm going to take my wife out for her birthday. I'll be out of town. You should do more of these streams. They're great. Thank you, Evan. Appreciate it, brother. I will try my best to. My Top Spinner. A hot spot for slab crappies, Nick. Dude, Comanche is insane. Island top, shallow subsurface island tops, just cruise around and you'll see all the squiggly lines. Fish those, it's amazing. Okay, last question here from happy birthday, Nick's wife. Never stop the pan fishing videos. They are invaluable. Thank you, bro. No, I love pan fishing too. It doesn't get nearly the credit that people try to knock it, but most of the guys who knock it can never catch a giant panfish because they don't know how. Okay, hold on. I seen the last question. White is the top of all colors of all kinds of lures and plastics, or green? And to me, you are better than KVD. Oh, man, I've met Kevin. Kevin's a huge, he's one of my biggest mentors growing up. But for, teaching people at home, then yeah, maybe I am. I'll take that, man. No, so is white one of the top colors or is green? So I want to kind of explain something here, and this is really valuable, so pay attention close to this, guys. Fish cannot see the color white. what they see, white is the only color in the visual spectrum that reflects UVA, which is ultraviolet index light, the same radiation that burns our skin. On the color white, it reflects that radiation, and fish can see that radiation. So what white looks like to a fish is a crystal ball. It looks very shiny. Now, they can see the color green. Most juvenile crawfish are the color green. Signal craws, clarkies, sooty craws, juveniles tend to all be green. This is why green pumpkin is the #1 color nationwide, because the majority of bass prefer to. Okay, sorry about that. I got another phone call, guys. All right, I got to wrap it up. I got to go. See you later, guys. Appreciate you watching.